Friends, Hillary Clinton deceived us again. Hillary Clinton promised not to mix official State Department business with the Clinton Foundation. But facts show a different story. Newly released emails show a Clinton Foundation official wanted the State Department to help a big Clinton Foundation donor. Huma Abedin, a key staff member of Clinton's State Department, got busy. Abedin sought to connect Gilbert Choudhury with a U.S. ambassador. Choudhury donated at least $1 million to the Clinton Foundation and pledged $1 billion to the Clinton Global Initiative. Choudhury was convicted of money laundering, and oh yeah, he's a friend of Bill Clinton's. And there's another incident connecting Hillary Clinton's State Department and a big donor to the Clinton Foundation. Emails released in June show how a Clinton Foundation donor got an advisory board appointment. Rajiv Fernando was appointed to the International Security Advisory Board, a group that advises the State Department on arms control. Fernando is a securities trader with no qualifications for the board post, but is a Democrat fundraiser and donor to the Clinton Foundation. Emails linked his appointment to Cheryl Mills, the then chief of staff to Hillary Clinton at the State Department. I need to know if Hillary Clinton had a pay-for-play scheme while at the State Department. Don't you?
It's good to have you. It's good to have you. All right, let's get right to this. FBI Director James Comey, when he was making his press conference about Hillary Clinton's emails a month or so ago, he refused to answer the question about whether or not there was an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Now you reveal in your article that you believe that there is one and it is ongoing right now.
Yes, this is a bit of a game changer. Apparently, FBI field offices around the country have been tracking a variety of activities by the Clinton Foundation, its donors, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and have been cooperating with the local U.S. attorneys. Those are federal prosecutors. And apparently, there are, in multiple cities, ongoing investigations as we speak of the Clinton Foundation. I've just been told it's most likely that those, and this is brand new that I'll be reporting later tonight, that it appears that some of those investigations are centered in Little Rock, Arkansas, Washington, D.C., and in New York City.
Right, and so far we had only heard about the New York City one. Let me ask you this too, for information purpose. Where did you get this information? Because it hasn't officially been confirmed by the FBI or by the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yes, and the Justice Department also has declined to comment on it as well. We received this information from a senior law enforcement official who has direct access and direct knowledge of these FBI investigations. And so I was able to meet with him, talk to him, to gain his information, and he finally agreed that we could go forward and report his disclosures.
Right, for the good of the people at least. So this investigation, like I said, it's a joint FBI U.S. Attorney General investigation. What's the benefit of the U.S. Attorney General being involved here rather than just the FBI?
Well, the U.S. attorneys are actually the prosecutors. They're the ones that will convene a grand jury. They're the ones that could seek an indictment. they're the ones that could actually call a trial in federal court. A lot of people are very confused. They don't realize that, yes, the Justice Department itself can investigate and can indict and can go to trial, but so can all of the U.S. attorneys that are all throughout the United States. We do understand that the New York attorney for the Southern District of New York is the lead U.S. attorney, and that the others are sort of feeding information to him. We've learned a little bit more also. Apparently, the decision about the lead prosecutors and also lead FBI officers are based on where's the evidence, where's the bulk of the evidence, what are the resources of the different offices. And New York is one of the largest U.S. attorney's offices and one of the largest FBI offices in the United States. And what we're talking about when you referred in the opening about pay to play, what we're talking about is financial crimes. And the Southern District of New York is based in Wall Street. And they go after financial crimes and corruption on a regular basis. So they are well equipped to go and take a look at this and to prosecute this if necessary.
Right, and that's my next question to you, Richard. There are multiple crimes, in my opinion, that the Clinton Foundation could be tried for and ought to be tried for. There's charity fraud, there's corruption, there's receiving foreign donations during an election season, there's the conflict of interest between Secretary of State and private enterprise. What is this investigation investigating?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. There are many, many different possibilities. You referred to pay to play. There's a whole question of donors giving money in the expectation of getting gifts or special privileges from Secretary of State Clinton. There's a whole range. You referred to a pay-to-play scheme. Well, there are many schemes, I think, that are involved. In fact, 64 members of the House of Representatives sent a letter just last month identifying two of those schemes, one involving a education company, a for-profit education company called Laureate Education, which not only received money as donations to the Clinton Foundation, but they themselves received a World Bank investment of $100 million while Secretary of State Clinton was in office. And there's also one involving Frank Giustra and his Uranium One company, and whether or not Secretary of State Hillary Clinton gave some sort of preferential treatment to him, since he is a $100 million donor to the Clinton Foundation.
Brandon.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump's attacks against Hillary Clinton often refer to a book that spells out a lot of Clinton's alleged conflicts of interest while she was Secretary of State. Well, now the mainstream media is attacking the merits of that book. Joining me now is Peter Schweizer. He is author of the book, Clinton Cash. I guess any publicity is good publicity as long as they get the name right of the book, Peter. But let's get to the heart of the issue here. And it involves something that actually Hillary Clinton was involved with. When she was Secretary of State, she kind of codified rules against bribery. The OECD, one of these international rules committee, put together that codification against bribery, and I'm going to quote from that. And again, she kind of laid the groundwork for this. She says, or they said, individuals and companies can be prosecuted when third parties are involved in bribe transactions, including a family member, business partner, or a favorite charity of the official. And of course, we all know about the Clinton Foundation. Did Hillary Clinton, according to you now and all the work you've done, did she ever use her influence as Secretary of State to favor a family member or a favorite charity?
Oh, I think there's no question that there were entities that donated to the Clinton Foundation, and Hillary Clinton ended up taking positions that were beneficial to those people.
Well, what's the most, give us a specific here. What is the most troubling example of that you've found?
Yeah, David, I would say, of course, the pattern itself is troubling, that there's just too many cases to not be coincidences. I think the most startling is the Russia uranium deal, where Bill and Hillary Clinton helped a small group of Canadian investors obtain these lucrative uranium concessions. They then acquired uranium concessions in the United States. These Canadian investors wanted to sell their company to the Russian government, which required Hillary Clinton's State Department to sign off on that deal. And the Clinton Foundation got $145 million from 9 shareholders involved with that company. You know, that, I think, demands investigation.
Other news organizations have used your book kind of as a guide, as a map, if you will, to look into investigations on their own. One found that the Clinton Foundation had actually had a Swedish sort of version of the Clinton Foundation that even the IRS didn't know about. At one point, the Swedish lottery contributed about $20 million to that branch of the Clinton Foundation at the same time that the Secretary of State was investigating some Swedish companies that were dealing illegally with Iran. Is that another example that bothers you?
That's a great example, and you can add to that, by the way, that the Swedish telecom company that was the heart of that investigation, Ericsson, paid Bill Clinton at the time that investigation was going on $750,000 for a single speech. Mind you, David, they had never sponsored a speech by Bill Clinton before. They weren't interested. Now they did, and 7 days after he got paid, Hillary Clinton's State Department issued a statement and said, we're going to ask the company to police themselves. We're not going to take further action.
Now, you, as you well know, are in the crosshairs now of the mainstream media, who says a lot of details of the book are either wrong or discredited. And Donald Trump has been using your book, announcing that he's using your book to go after Hillary. One of his charges he announced last week, and I'm going to quote from it. He said, as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton laundered money to Bill Clinton through Lorette Education. That's an organization, a for-profit education group. While Bill Clinton was an honorary chairman of the group, Clinton's State Department provided $55.2 million in grants to Lorette Education from 2010 to 2012. Lorette thanked Bill for providing unbelievable access to the Secretary of State by paying him off $16.5 million. Now, the Washington Post just looked into all these charges, gave it 4 Pinocchios, meaning that they couldn't find any truth to it, that there were a lot of facts wrong about what Donald Trump said. Who's right in this, Donald Trump or the Washington Post?
Well, I can tell you what we reported, and that is that the State Department sent $55 million, not necessarily to Laureate Education, but to a nonprofit that was run by the chairman of Laureate, a guy named Doug Becker. And that nonprofit that got the State Department money was running programs through his for-profit, and that Bill Clinton at this time was being paid $16.5 million. So there's no question about the flow of money, who was getting money, when they were getting money. You know, it's kind of funny because the Washington Post in their fact check says at one point they even went to the Clinton Foundation and they went to Laureate to see if there was anything to this story, as if those two entities are going to come back and say, yes, of course there is. This is what happened. In terms of the flow of money,
very quickly, Peter, we're running out of time.
Absolutely confirms. Yeah, the Washington Post confirms all the flow of money.
All right. Peter Schweizer is the author of Clinton Cash. It's a book you might want to pick up and read. Peter, great to see you again. Thank you very much for being here.